ICRI-E, a tactical radio interoperability gateway for the Warfighter and for Homeland Security mutual aid. Setup and operating procedures. The ICRI-E is manufactured by Communications Applied Technology. The ICRI-E is made in the USA. The topics to be covered are theory of operation, preparations and setup, controls, indicators, and connections of handsets, portable radios, and mobile radios, applications of the ICRI in the field, and preventive maintenance. The ICRI-E can both provide bridging between dissimilar radios, landline phones, cell phones, and other communication devices. It can also provide a means of enhancing beyond line-of-sight communications and in-building or tunnel communications where RF propagation is ineffective. Theory of operation. The ICRI-E was designed to support bridging requirements in the field without additional infrastructure such as computers or power sources other than the batteries that are installed in the ICRI. The ICRI-E uses the audio bridge design, which allows radios of dissimilar frequency and dissimilar waveforms to be linked together and communicate seamlessly. The ICRI-E is also designed to support trunking radio systems and satellite systems with long delays. Encrypted voice can pass between dissimilar encryption methods through the ICRI. The ICRI can subdivide the radios or devices connected into two talk groups so that communications between some agencies or units are separated from others, yet still connected through the ICRI-E. The ICRI-E itself weighs only 7 pounds. The small size and rugged packaging permit the ICRI-E to be transited without overpacking. The general operation of the ICRI is through 8 AA batteries, but can support DC input sources between 7 and 31 volts. The ICRI-E can support communication links between military green radios like the 117 or the TACSAT PSC5, the XTS 5000 radio, and legacy radios operated by coalition partners or state and local agencies. Radio connection is via the speaker mic port or handset port of the radios. Mobile radios can also be connected to an ICRI to permit longer range communications. Prior to the deployment of the ICRI determine the power source that will be utilized. Alternatives are AC via an AC-DC converter provided with the equipment, cigarette lighters if the vehicle provides for that capability, alligator clips for connection to a wide range of batteries between 7 and 31 volts, or the internal 8 AA batteries. Agencies that will be connecting to the ICRI must supply a radio for connection to the ICRI. It is important that they determine that the radio functions, that it is not in the scan mode, and that the battery is fresh. It is critical that ComSec be maintained when forming interoperability bridges. When plugging radios into the ICRI that are on the same band, the potential for desensing will occur, and it is important that at that point the radios be isolated, or their antennas be isolated, so as to minimize the potential for desensing. Radios such as the M-Biter and the Singars should not be operated in the scan mode, as this will disturb the interoperability link between the other radios that are tied through the ICRI. And a radio operator should not change talk groups without confirming from the OIC that this change is required and is appropriate. Many military and civilian radios have been tested with the ICRI-E, and this list identifies some of those that are in the field now. All civilian radios built within the last 10 years can be used with the ICRI. The manufacturer can provide interface cables for any of those radios. The controls and indicators and jacks on the ICRI. Inside the cover of the ICRI, this control panel provides simple functions for setting up talk groups, powering on the ICRI, determining if there is sufficient voltage provided by the batteries or the external source. What is not shown here is the cover for the battery housing. Whenever the batteries are used, the cover should be in place to stabilize the batteries in the ICRI. The ICRI can be operated in any orientation. It does not require a specific orientation when used. Note that the power switch has a guard, that each of the talk group select switches have a guard. The talk group select switches have 3 positions. Talk group 1 is up, as noted on the information to the left. Talk group 2 is the down position of those switches, and the center position removes that radio connected to that jack from any talk group. When a radio is receiving information, from the field, the active LED associated with that radio will flash as words are received or demodulated by the radio and pass to the other radios that are connected in the same talk group. So that the ICRI can be operated completely closed and preventing exposure of the electronics to dust or water, rain. The talk group switch for the handset and the volume control for the handset are on the outside of the box on the left-hand side. This ICRI-E is set up to operate with the military H250 or H350 handsets. The radio jacks are not radio type specific, so that a SINGARS can be connected to any port, as can an XTS 5000 be connected to any of the 5 radio ports, or a legacy radio from a coalition or a local state agency can be connected to any of the ports. A cell phone or a satellite phone connection would, other than the PSC-5, which is treated as a radio, is made through the jack labeled telephone acoustic coupler. In the cover of the ICRI is a panel that gives you additional information without having an instruction manual present during the operation of the ICRI. Power sources. The ICRI will operate for over 24 hours of continuous operation on the use of 8 AA alkaline batteries. Carbon batteries can be used if that is all that is available, but expecting approximately 12 to 14 hours duty cycle versus 24 plus hours. The ICRI front panel on the deck contains LEDs that will identify the status of the DC voltage or battery voltage when applied. Those lights will indicate when the voltage is low and will indicate an approximate duration of over 2 hours of still continuing runtime under the low voltage condition. If AC is available, it can be up. The ICRI-E can be used through the converter supplied with the ICRI. Additional ways of powering the ICRI is through a vehicle cigarette lighter, a alligator clips, or the NATO slave adapter that will plug directly into the jack on a Humvee. Connection of handsets, portable radios, and mobile radios. Again, the H250 or the H350 can be connected to the ICRI for the purpose of using that handset as an incident command point, which allows the user to talk to the radios without themselves having a radio. Connection of the portable radios or mobile radios is made through the 5 jacks provided on the outside of the ICRI case. The connection is a U229/U connector on the ICRI side and a connector for the radio specific. In the case of a M-biter or SingGuards, that connector would also again be a U229 or a U329. When the radio has been connected, or radios have been connected, the volume control for the individual radio is placed at a mid position. The channel is selected according to the requirements of the agency, and the talk group is selected. Again, the talk group positioning is group 1 up, group 2 down, and center position. The radio is disconnected from all talk groups. When audio reaches the ICRI from a remote transmission, the light above the talk group switch will light. If the light remains on solid, the volume from that radio is too loud, and the radio volume control at the radio connected to the ICRI should be turned counterclockwise. If the radio needs to have the volume raised because the light is not lighting, turn the volume up in small increments until the light flickers as each word is received at that radio. Connection of landline telephone and cellular phones to the ICRI-E. The ICRI-E is provided with an adapter so that a modular connector can be used and maintain the waterproof nature of the ICRI-E. Modular adapter is provided in the cover of the ICRI-E. Secure or non-secure cell phones and satellite phones can be connected to communicate with other phones or land mobile radios. A secure or non-secure cell phone can be connected to the ICRI-E through the modular jack provided. The cable provides a 2.5 millimeter plug for the connection to the cell phone's headset jack and a modular connection at the ICRI end. If the audio level from the cell phone is insufficient to light the LED inside the ICRI associated with it, the headset volume control of the cell phone should be adjusted for increasing the level to the ICRI. Connection to a landline phone, such as a STI, is simply accomplished by disconnecting the cable from the base of the handset itself on the phone and using that to connect to the modular connector on the ICRI. When a call is to be initiated, removing the handset from its cradle and placing it to the side will generate a dial tone in the ICRI at its handset and any radios connected through the same talk group. It is suggested that the call be initiated on an unused talk group or that the radios be placed in the center position of the 3-position switch so that the call can be initiated via the ICRI handset directly to the phone using the phone keypad when the call is made, and then the radios should be reconnected to that same talk group. Applications of the ICRI-E in the coalition radios and radios by U.S. Homeland Security agencies, law enforcement agencies, can all be connected through the ICRI and bridged for unified communications between those agencies. Connecting a squad radio to the ICRI and a radio like a SINGARS also to the ICRI will permit the squad communications to be reached back to a command point that is well beyond the squad radio's normal ability to propagate its signal. The ICRI-E can provide a bridge between a radio line of sight to a satellite link to a downlink that would occur at some remote location to another line of sight radio. In this case, the US and UK are operating secure radios with their own encryption keys, with the ICRI providing the bridge that allows these dissimilar keys to maintain communications. When necessary to place personnel inside a structure or ship or tunnel that does not support good RF communications, an optional cable reel with a 250-foot cable length can be connected to the ICRI, providing a means of bringing the communications from the entry team reliably out to the ICRI for retransmission to the command structure. The cable reel can be daisy chained to produce a total length of up to 2,000 feet. The standard cables that are normally used with direct connection of radios to the ICRI are connected to this cable reel, and no modifications or special radios are required. The radio that will go into the entry with the personnel is placed on the same frequency or channel as the entry personnel operating in a conventional simplex mode, and then the second radio is connected to the ICRI outside on an alternate radio to be monitored by the command structure. Because of the use of a slip ring for the circuitry that passes through to the radio on the cable reel, as the reel is unraveled, or the cable is unraveled, the radio is fully operational. So the entry team has communications as they enter the structure and maintain communications with their command. The radio that will enter with the entry personnel is mounted securely to the pedestal on the cable reel, secured with the Velcro. The interface cable is connected to the cable reel and connected to the ICRI. Alternately, the handset can be connected to the ICRI-E, and you can have communications directly between a commander at the ICRI-E and personnel who are well into a structure that otherwise would not permit that kind of communications. If the entry will be in a ship or in a structure such as a subway with multiple levels, the cable reel can be functionally reversed and allowing the radio to be lowered into the area, with the cable reel being retained on the top deck or at the top level, street level if necessary, of the subway system. Preventive maintenance. The ICRI-E requires minimal preventive maintenance and does not require any calibration during its life. The primary issues with maintenance would be to verify that batteries are both fresh and that went for use, and that there is no battery leakage through a damaged battery cell. Inspection of all the cables connected for damage or that might affect their functionality should be done prior to any deployment of the ICRI. In order to maintain the ICRI's waterproof operation, the gasket in the cover of the case should be inspected, dirt removed from it. If it is nicked or torn, that gasket should be replaced prior to deployment. Inspection of the externals and internal switches and knobs should be visual, and again, removal of dirt is the most important preventive maintenance, deadlining the unit if a switch or knob is broken or not functioning. Additional tech support can be provided at the U.S. locations of Communications Applied Technology. Additional versions of this material are available as PDF files or in PowerPoint configurations.